Hi everyone. So I have gone through a journey. I just completed a challenge recently called Exodus 90, and I just wanted to share that with you, the experience that I went through leading up to my conversion. So it started in the beginning of this year, January 2023. It was it was maybe a couple days after New Year's, and I got a text from my friend, and he asked if I wanted to do this challenge called Exodus 90. I didn't know what it was at first. I haven't even heard of it. I looked it up and I saw that you do these disciplines where you have to give up some things. There were three pillars, they call it, that you focus on: prayer, asceticism, and fraternity. Prayer, pretty straightforward. Asceticism was giving up your luxuries, self-discipline, and fraternity was the brotherhood of men that were doing this journey with you, just building that relationship. And I looked at the disciplines, the things that you had to do during this whole time, and it was a long list. Taking cold showers was the biggest one that sticks in everybody's mind, but cold showers, no sweets or desserts, no eating between meals, so no snacking, no TV, no internet, no video games, only listening to music that lifts your soul to God. You had to exercise regularly. You have to get 7 hours of sleep. And then you fast on Wednesdays and Fridays. The other one was no unnecessary purchases. And those were the disciplines. And I look at the list, and initially I didn't want to do it. I told him, I'm pretty busy with things. It sounds fun, but no thank you. And I told my wife about it. And I told her, yeah, there was this Exodus 90 thing. My friend Josh told me about it, but I don't think I want to do it. And she smiled because she knew my reservation. I didn't want to give up video games. I didn't. The new year started. I was thinking, there was a game that I was playing that I really wanted to get back on, and climb the ladder. Climb the gaming ranking ladder or whatever. I was excited to play my game, and she smiled because she knew that I didn't want to give that up. Uh, and she asked more questions about it, and I said yeah, and then I think I came clean. I told her I said I just didn't want to. I don't want to give up gaming. And she said, think of it this way. She said, in 90 days you can play video games for 90 days, or in 90 days you can grow in a closer relationship with God. But at the end of that 90 days you die. She said, what would you rather have? And when you make a extreme scenario like that, there is an obvious choice for most. Um, and I said, okay, that makes sense. And it's 90 days. I can do 90 days. All of these disciplines. Uh, let's go for it. Let's do it. And I'm speaking from my experience. I did want a closer relationship with God. I have not felt as close as I wanted to lately. As far as feeling His presence, hearing His voice, that was missing for a while in my life. And it's the beginning of the year. I think we were still on that New Year's resolution hype train. So I said, okay, fine. I called Josh. I said, I even told him my reservation in the very beginning. I said, okay, at first I said no, but I'm going to do it now. Yes, let's do it. So he said, great. It was actually quite a nice group of men who wanted to do this. A lot of them for the first time. All of them for the first time, except for Josh. He was the one who kind of asked people about it, and then another man took charge as the leader of the group. So we formed a group. It was me, two guys kind of local in our area, and then I think four other men from Edmonton, from the city. And we all formed this group. There's an Exodus app that we got where we made a group chat, and we stayed in touch and talked and went through this journey together. day 1 through 30, we were on our initial high of getting started. Everyone was pumped up. We were like, let's do this. We were excited. We're gonna get closer to God. We're gonna pray. We're gonna get stronger as a brotherhood. It was great. You had to be aware of the things that you used to do, such as snacking between meals. That was a huge transition because it's easy to just grab some chips, a little bit of popcorn, a little bit of chocolate here and there. So the first week or so was pretty interesting. Excitingly disciplining yourself from all of these pleasures. We had to do an hour of prayer and every day, and that was good too. We were just shifting around our schedules a little bit and making room. Most of us had families, full families, and it was a transition for them too, because all of a sudden your father, your dad, your husband is doing this huge challenge. But they were very specific. They said, this Exodus 90 challenge is yours. This Exodus is yours. It's not your wife's. It's not your kids. So if you cannot eat sweets, you cannot ban sweets from the house for 90 days. Everyone shouldn't have to suffer because you're suffering. And that was the neat thing about this too, is it is a type of suffering. But when we were constantly praying, there's guides and templates and things like that. And one of the things that it said the most was, give us strength to go through our suffering with joy. And a lot of times in the past, when I used to do fasting, it was for 30 days, and it was from one thing, and it was killing me. I was so grumpy. I was complaining that I was hungry or something. And I remember reading Bible verses and things saying, when you are fasting, wash your face, look nice, don't wear ragged clothes. Don't make it obvious that you're fasting so people can think that you're like more special or more holy. Just do your thing in silence, put on a good face, and do you work on yourself. So that was good. We checked up weekly with each other too. We had weekly meetings since a lot of us lived further away. One week we would meet online, like on Zoom, and then the other week we would try to meet together as a group and talk about it. It felt a little bit like an AA meeting, everyone has their addictions and we're kind of coming clean and telling how the week went. That's just the nature of it. But it was really neat to see that a lot of men struggle with the same things. And they were simple things when you split them up, but we were doing so many things at once. Some men, they confessed during our meeting, they said, I just want some juice. Like, we could drink black tea, black coffee, but we couldn't have, any sweetener, no milk or cream or sugar. But one guy was just like, I need my sweetener, like they're getting withdrawals, right? And it's only week 2 that we're meeting. The age range was really nice too, because there were different phases of life. I think me and Josh had the youngest kids. I think Caius at the moment, my youngest son, was 7 months old. And there were other families who had children at 17, 18, around then too. So we were all in different phases of life, but we were all going through this together. But it was just really cool to see, hey, this guy is struggling with the itch of wanting to snack. So am I. We're going through this. We're going through that together. So the brotherhood was really strong. Communicating and just being real with each other was really great. It didn't take long for the initial high of getting into the challenge wore off. Fasting was hard. I was hungry. I was worrying that I'm going to waste away. I'm a musician and I love music and I love dancing. And so my library was just filled with music of all kinds. And when I took this challenge, it said you can only listen to music that lifts your soul to God. And I felt originally I felt really limited. I was like, there's not much I can listen to. But then I said, you know what, there's tons. I actually asked my immediate family, I said, hey, send me, before this started, I said, send me some Christian artists, send me some content. I need to make a quick playlist for this 90 days so that I can have some good stuff to listen to. And they sent me a few artists and some songs. But I was even going back into the vault, man. I was pulling out my old Christian rock groups. I was listening to some Toby Mac and Skillet, Cutlass, just really old good stuff. And it was bringing a smile to my face. But I was like, yeah, it's Christian. It's Christian rock. It's Christian rap. It's Christian country. I'm bringing back Carmen, listening to Riot, and it was fun. Annabelle was a little bit concerned when she heard the rock music. She said, "Are you sure this is lifting your soul to God? It gives me anxiety." But I said, "Oh, this is good stuff. If you listen to the words, And I was rocking out, keeping me pumped. But I will say, only listening to music that does truly lift your soul to God was so helpful, because your mind was just filled with that music all the time, and there was no more room. And that's the biggest thing. That's one of the things that I want to talk about is, when you do fast, it is important to replace that with something. And what we were doing in this challenge was replacing our pleasures, our time spent on the computer, our time spent playing video games. We were spending that in prayer. We were spending that with God. We were spending that with our family, and that was huge. Annabelle was so happy. I fixed like 3 doors in the first month. I was finding projects to do around the house because I have to do something. I can't sit in front of the computer or anything. So I was a busybody in the first 30 days. It was a pretty good start. I was struggling. Sometimes I did want to play a game or check. A lot of people were into sports and wanted to see how hockey was doing and things like that. So there were hard times, guys. I will say I did not do this perfectly. I didn't. It was hard. I slipped. I fell. It hurt to get back on the train, but I did, and I made it. And it was encouraging because a lot of people were struggling that way too, but we didn't give up. During this Exodus 90 challenge, it's not just a blind, 90-day journey of, okay, do these disciplines, meet up together and see how you're doing. The Exodus 90 application on your phone is so amazing and filled with really good content. What we were doing every morning was, every day, was reading. We were reading the Bible, reading the gospel, and we were going through the journey of the book of Exodus, how Moses delivered his people with God out of slavery. And we were going through that journey. So every time in the morning, when I open the phone and check the reading, they relate to us as those in slavery in Egypt. And they said, okay, get your bearings for today. Where are you? And for the first couple weeks, they're like, okay, you're in Egypt. You're in slavery. The next day, you're still in Egypt. The next day, you're still in Egypt. Just going through this journey. And then finally, if you know the story of Moses, God delivers them out of Pharaoh's hands. They escape and they are free, but now they're in the desert. And knowing what that feels like. Okay, so you're in for 30 days. You're grinding hard. You're getting rid of these addictions for me. Like I found out in this Exodus that there were a lot of things holding me captive, where I have become a slave to the computer, a slave to my phone, a slave to an app where I can't put it down. I can't go a day without checking, my Instagram or things like that. Realizing that really helped me let go and let God. So being free from slavery was great, but now you're in the desert, you're in the wilderness. You get through day 30 And day 31 to day 60, you're like, okay, now we're in the desert. We have to figure out how we're going to do this, how to rely on God. And the people of Israel, they did not trust God the whole way. It was not smooth sailing, not for them, not for me. It was hard being in the desert, and I realized, I think it was during this time, day 31 to day 60. I realized, I said to myself, I need some help. I can't do this. I cannot kick these habits by myself. I can't get rid of these addictions. I realize that these chains were not going to get broken without God's help. And sincerely, the way that Exodus 90 worked was that day 90 arrives just in time for Easter. So we can celebrate Easter fully and be happy that we're done with this challenge, but that God has delivered us and his resurrection and everything. It was a really cool tie-in when we got to the end. But before then, we had to go through this journey first. And it kind of picked up around Lent, like everyone else was doing Lent. We were already doing this Exodus 90 challenge. And through the app, they were encouraging, they said, okay, we're getting close to Easter season, Easter season, Lent. They said, this is a good time to prepare and go to confession if you haven't been in a while. Now, Exodus 90 is a Catholic-based app. You don't have to be Catholic to do the journey, which I wasn't. I was Protestant. I think most of the men in our group were, and I was just doing this journey for the good of it. And when I read that part about confession, I was thinking, this is the first time that I really felt that I needed to go to confession. I think I was in the desert at that time, struggling with my addictions and my flesh and just me wanting to be in control. I felt that I really needed to get some things off of my chest. And this was the difference, because I heard of confession before, being Protestant. I said, I don't need that. I can just, repent myself. God, I'm sorry. Repent, 180, and then I'm good. I go on throughout my life. Every time I sin, I just say, God, I'm sorry. I'll do better, and then away I go. And for 33 years, that was good enough for me. All of a sudden, it wasn't, and mainly because for me, I was still struggling with the same things. I was still struggling with the same addictions. And this isn't video game addictions was really strong. Social media, just getting lost in media. For me personally, I was addicted to pornography for a long time, even before we were married, and just having those in the back of my mind, not being able to see things as pure. A lot of things were tainted, and I was still struggling internally with these addictions, and it was hard. And I felt that I needed more help. That was it. I realized I needed help spiritually, and I knew that I couldn't do this. I knew that I couldn't do this journey by myself. I couldn't make it to day 90 without God's help. And so I was like, okay, this is what I need. I need confession. I need to confess my sins to one another. I need to really tell it all and get it off and give it to God. So I looked up how to do confession, and I found out you can't. You can't go to confession if you are not Catholic. And part of me is like, oh, that's kind of too bad. And then I just left it alone, because I'm Protestant. You have to be Catholic, so I guess I'm not going to go to confession. Looking back at this journey, I was looking at specifically the brotherhood. That's a lot of things. That's what a lot of men said about this journey, was that they really appreciated the brotherhood, the fraternity of us coming together. And when we said, okay, I'm struggling with this, guys, pray for me, this is a hard week, work was terrible, or I've been really struggling about snacking. It's been making me cranky. My kids don't like me. My wife doesn't like me. I'm just a bear to be around. Pray for me for this. And we were there for each other. And when I realized that the Catholic faith, they have this really cool understanding of the communion of saints. What that really means is you have a family, guys. You have a relationship with with the whole sainthood of people to help you when you're going through some hard stuff. And man, this was the hardest journey that I've ever done. And to know that you have help. You have help in God. You have help in your brothers and sisters in faith who have gone before you. And they have gone through their own type of exodus, their own journey. Their own life had so many different hardships than what I'm going through. I can't have popcorn and you know they're getting persecuted and killed for their faith and just learning about all these different things. So here's where the turnaround for me happened. My birthday was in February, and I was thinking, okay, it's my birthday. I'm not going to celebrate too much. I think I can give up one discipline. Oh yeah, that's one thing I forgot to mention. Every Sunday was a celebration, so we can choose as a group which disciplines we wanted to relieve for that day. So when we would meet weekly, we would say, okay, this coming Sunday, which discipline do we want to relax? Sometimes a guy was like, I really just want a warm shower. We're like, okay, hey, let's do that. This coming Sunday, we can all take a warm shower, celebrate, hurrah, and then, you know, go through your week again. Most of the time, I think we were doing snacks or a sweet drink. Sweet drink was a very popular one through this whole one. They just wanted cream in their coffee. I just wanted a soda. Some guy just wanted a juice. Like it's so funny seeing grown men sit around in a circle like, hey guys, I just want some juice. They're like, yeah, I kind of miss that too. But it helps. Building character is an understatement. But it was great. Anyways, so for my birthday, didn't do much. Small celebration, if any at all. I honestly don't remember. But I think I was postponing my cake until after Easter. But my mom reached out to me, I think maybe a week after my birthday. So when I visited her, she said, and she was just throwing it out there herself. My mom is Catholic, and she talked to the priest and she said, if my son were ever interested in becoming Catholic, my mom wanted to take me through the program to learn about what it means to be Catholic and go through that whole course. She asked the priest if she could be the one to teach me. And he said yes, if I ever wanted to do that. So she told me about this in February, at the end of February, and I was shocked was the wrong word. Okay, so God's timing is everything. It's been the theme of my life forever. And I guys, I was thinking about this confession and thinking about my relationship with God for so long, and then mom gives me this invitation, like just in case, she said, if you were ever thinking. And man, I was thinking about this for a while, even before Exodus. And so I told her, but I also told her my reservations on why I haven't made that choice, why I didn't make that jump yet. The biggest reason why I didn't want to become Catholic was because for me personally, it felt like if I do convert to being Catholic, does that mean that the way that I was living, the way that my faith life was wrong that whole time? Was I living a lie? Was all that I was raised on not the right way? And it hurt me inside because I loved growing up. You know, I've been in a few different types of churches, you know, African Methodist Episcopal Church and non-denominational, and you know, I wore the choir robes and had the organ going, and you know, we're doing praise and worship for, you know, 90 minutes before the sermon starts, and oh, that was great. I loved it, and I didn't want to think that all of that was for nothing. And I'm kind of being dramatic, but that's what I was thinking about in my head. Like, was that wrong? Was all of that wrong? And the Catholic faith is right. And my mom said, no, you shouldn't think of it that way. The way you were raised, my faith was not wrong. Having a relationship with God, for me, guys, this is me. They were layers, layers on a very, very beautiful cake. The way that I worshiped, the way that I praised, the way that I grew up was another layer on the cake, another layer on the cake. And the way that my mom, I'm a visual learner, and maybe she was using cake because I haven't had some in a long time. But she said, the Catholic faith, she said, you can think of it as the icing on top, the most beautiful blanket of icing you've ever seen. It is access, guys. It is access to a more intimate relationship to Jesus Christ. And I yearned for that so much. I was in the desert. I was dry. I was looking for something, guys. And when mom explained that, I said, okay, I want to do it. I wanted to get started right away. My brain started going quickly, and I said that I wanted to do it before Easter. I wanted to surprise Annabelle or something like that Easter that I have become Catholic. It doesn't work that way because there's a lot of preparation involved. I told mom I wanted to be Catholic. She told the priest, and the priest said, she told him that I wanted to be Catholic in time for Easter, and the priest said it's probably too late because things are already underway. I think we already entered Lent season, and he needed special permission from the bishop for me to kind of scoot in and get going, because I had some learning to do. I had some education to receive. So he sent a note to the bishop. In the meantime, I was being coached and taught by my mother, and it was such a fun learning experience. Through that, I've learned so much, and that's the other blessing, is there's so much to learn, guys. There's so much information and just help, and that's one thing that I found through this journey, the Exodus journey, and becoming Catholic, was that there is never a shortage of information on how to live your life. There is no question on how to be a good husband, a good father, a good person. If someone is sick, help them get better. If someone's hungry, feed them. If someone needs clothes, give them clothes. I mean, it's pretty straightforward stuff, but there is no room, there's no gray area. And I'm not saying that other faiths don't have that. As an adult and where I was now, it was just nice to see that really apparent again. And man, I've been taking notes and drawing pictures and just doing all that I can to retain the information. But long story short, I got special permission from the bishop. He said it was all right, and I went in hard. I was watching videos every night and studying and learning, and I thought I had to meet with the priest with my mom, and I thought we were just hanging out and having a conversation. He was actually testing me about the Catholic faith to see if I knew what I was getting into. And then I when I did get special permission, I did tell my wife that I was converting, just so she can enjoy my journey going through this together. And it was great. Now, this is day 61 to 90. This is towards the end. So most of the disciplines I had down. Cold showers were kind of fun. They're healthy anyways. The no snacking and fasting, all of that was good. But I didn't want to stay stagnant in my new lifestyle. The no sweets, the no candies, no sweet drinks, and all of that. The praying. It was tolerable, even for most of the men. We were all good. When we used to meet in the beginning, and everyone would say, okay, for Sunday, what do we want to relax? People were like, oh, I want to do this, I really want to watch TV. By the end of it, most of the guys were like, it doesn't matter to me. It was just so cool to see the difference of desire when we started versus towards the end. So what I wanted to do is just go deeper, pray more, pray harder, be intentional with your prayer. That was one of the big things towards the end, and it was a great beginning, I'll say. When we reached day 90, that was not the end. That was the beginning. The Saturday before Easter, it was a midnight mass, and that's where everything for me happened. I was baptized in the Catholic Church. I received my confirmation, and I had my first communion, and that was such a beautiful thing. Now my mom was still, coaching me through this thing, and she told me, she said, take your time. This is a big step. This is special regarding receiving the host and communion. She said, take your time. This is the first time ever that you are going to receive Christ, and that's exactly what I did. I didn't realize I probably took too long, but I just wanted to be in his presence and just be in that moment, to where I guess I was up there at the front. I was the first one to receive communion for that mass, and the priest wanted everyone else to come and follow behind me so they can receive Christ, and no one got up because I was still kneeling at the altar. Just in that moment, guys, I could not describe the feeling. It was just a, a swell of peace, and just it was amazing. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to get up. And then I was like, okay, people do want to receive communion too. So then I got up and sat down. But it was so great, guys. A week after that, I did my first confession. Now, that was cool because it's something that I wanted to do since I was baptized. That Saturday night, since I was baptized, from then all my sins were washed away. So from then to like 33 years of history, I did not have to recount to the priest. Um, I didn't have to do all of that, but I was encouraged to go to confession sooner than later, because I need to know what it's like, right? So I think the next week I went to confession, and it was great. Now this is the way I'm learning it, guys. I didn't. I'm not confessing to a priest. I'm not telling the priest, okay, I did this, I did this. You're confessing to God through the priest, and God through the priest is talking back to you. And it felt so peaceful. Just telling God, I love you, but I'm sorry I did this. And God's like, I love you too, but this is probably what you need to do to do better. And it was so relieving. It was so great. The weight off your shoulders, I can't explain. But it was necessary for me, and I feel better. So my Exodus 90 journey was complete, and in one sense, Exodus 90 ended. But our mindset, especially the group that I was in, this was not the end. This truly was the beginning. Um, my favorite season, guys, I think is Easter now, just because of knowing what Christ did through his death and resurrection, but especially after that. I used to think Easter was the big day. Yes, Christ has risen, celebrate, sing, eat, party, Easter egg hunt, and then, okay, we're done. And then we go through the rest of our year. But there's a really important part that we forgot, or that I forget after that, is Jesus is like, okay, I'm gonna go, but I'm gonna leave you the Holy Spirit to help you guys. And the disciples and everyone, they were like, well, you're gonna build your kingdom now, right? Like, the kingdom that you talked about and all this stuff. And in short, in a short version, Jesus says, no, you guys are gonna build my kingdom. As God sent me, I'm sending you. And that was the most exciting part, going through this journey knowing that, okay, I am the one to lead this generation. I have 4 kids behind me. I have friends and family looking to me. I get to be God's true hands and feet, and it's so exciting. Um, so yeah, that's been my journey. I'm so thankful for my friend Josh, who who just threw out the invitation through a text and asked me if I wanted to do Exodus 90. I'm grateful to him. I'm thankful to my leader who stuck with it through the Exodus 90. It wasn't an easy challenge, but it was so good, and I'm taking a lot of the disciplines with me. I'm still doing cold showers. It's only April like 24th, but I'm still doing cold showers. I'm not eating between meals as much, but even the Exodus 90 app continues for Easter season. It continues for the whole year. So there's lots of content, lots of gospels to be read, lots of prayers to be had. But it is an amazing journey, an amazing transition for me, and I just thank God for 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 life, for freedom, and I'm looking forward to what He has in store for me and for you. If you're ever wondering about being in a closer relationship with God, it has to be done through prayer. The biggest thing, my biggest takeaway from Exodus 90 is when you remove yourself away from your pleasures, you make room for other things. Since I was cutting out all other music and just listening to Christian music, that was filled. Since I took myself away from the computer, I had more time for family and for God. It's replaced with something and you can fill it, and it is so worth it, guys. That happened, that intense 90 days was for a season, but it has truly changed my life. So I hope that was my testimony was able to bless someone, and we will see what the rest of this year and this life has to hold. God bless.